At some point, I lost some footage on cutting out scales, putting the pinholes in the scale material, and beveling the front of the scales. So at this point, you're going to just see where I polish and clean up the front of the scales before I glue them on the knife handle. At this point, I'm starting at 220 grit, and I'll progress all the way up to 800. And from there, you'll see the rest of the handle shaping process. Okay, I rinsed all, I cleaned off with soap and water all the pieces of the handle material and the knife itself. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing glued up. But before I do that, I'm going to rub everything down with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure there's no extra grime or dirt on there. Now I'll take these Q-tips. They work really well to clean up any of the epoxy that comes out there. I'll dip one side in rubbing alcohol, and then I'll take the dry side just to dry everything off. And I'll do that, and I'll come back every 15 minutes or so just to make sure it's cleaned up. And usually after about 30 minutes, it should be set enough that no more is oozing out. But yeah, once we get it all glued up, we'll come back and start working on shaping the handle. Alright, I just took all the clamps off of here. We're all glued up. I'm going to tape up the blade here, and we'll get the profiling going, knock the pins down. We'll see how it looks. Okay, I put some scribe lines on here just to reference for how I want to shape the handle, rough shape. We'll get going here, and I like to, as I go, get it in my hands, feel how, see how it feels, and then make adjustments from there. All right, we got a pretty good rough shape on this knife. Now I'm going to refine it with files and sandpaper. I don't want to do any more with the grinder because at this stage I'm more concerned about any mistakes that I could make. So we'll get doing the hand files and sandpaper. All right, we got this finished up to 220 grit. One thing I didn't show that I forgot to film, and this is something that I just decided to try because, for one, I'm using these black micarta pins, and most of the time I like to try to peen my pins in place, and you can't really do that with the micarta pins. So, but I have this lanyard tubing here. So what I did is I just deburred the inside of each side here. I laid it flat on this railroad track piece I have. And I put the end of my ball peen and set it right down inside of there. And then I just lightly tapped it with this hammer for a little while just to flare out the tubing just a little bit. Hopefully that one closes up any little bit of gap I have on the outside, but it also will hopefully kind of be another little security as far as securing this handle, keeping it tight. So I don't know if it actually does anything or helps, but I figured what the heck, why not give it a try. So next we'll keep going. We're going to hit it with 400 all the way up to 800. I'll clean up the lanyard hole here and finish up any other little tiny things that need worked on, and then it's almost done. We're ready to sharpen it. All right, I've got this thing hand sanded all the way up to 800 grit. I don't normally use my buffer very often, but just to see what kind of finish I can put on this G10 at 800 grit, I'm going to throw a little polishing compound on here, and we're going to buff it just to see if we get any other results. Alright, we finished up buffing the handle a little bit. I think it looks really nice. That G10 just really pops with that extra little buff to it. Last step, put an edge on this thing, and we have a completed knife. Besides the sheath, If you guys want to see a sheath video, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just probably call it quits on the knife build. It's just the build of the knife itself. I can do another sheath video later. Besides, my sheath skills are need a lot of improvement. So we'll go ahead and get this thing sharpened up. Alright, I'm going to take my time, nice and slow, just real soft, consistent passes here. I'm not going to apply tons of pressure. The idea here is just to get the secondary bevel just kind of initiated, just enough so that there's a sharp edge, and then I fine tune everything else on whetstones. So here we go. And this is a 220 grit belt.